So without further ado, let us introduce Chris and let's ask him like a couple of questions for the next half an hour or so and really get to find out how Chris himself has used mindset in his life. So Chris, first of all, how are you doing?
I'm really super excited to be in this tonight, and thank you very much for inviting me. I really appreciate it, actually. And I'm good, thank you.
Good, excellent. Right, let's get to my first question because I'm really excited to hear what you've got to say, and I think everyone else is too. So, tell us your story. Tell us a bit about what you do, why you do it, and how you got started.
Okay, I think probably it would be best if I went back in time a little bit to start with. Briefly, I've kind of been a businessman for most of my life, really. I've always chose to sort of work for myself. And I've been in the gaming industry and in the licence trade. And at my height, I had 4 pubs and a couple of clubs on the go up towards London. So, it was quite a busy life.
Oh yeah, busy.
And I had some really wonderful things happening to me and my body, really. And this went on for quite a number of years. And I was going to my GP, and the GP was saying, it's stress, it's stress, it's stress, And because of the industry I was in, I kind of thought, well, I don't feel that stress, but yeah, maybe it is, Until 2002. It was the time of the World Cup in Asia. So we was doing breakfast and a pint, when they were showing the football matches at silly o'clock in the morning, That's and I became extremely ill, and I got carted off to hospital, basically. And that sort of set me on the road to actually finding out what was the matter with me, and after lots of tests, MRIs and a lumbar puncture, which is quite an interesting procedure, where they draw fluid from the spine.
Wow, that sounds painful. Gosh.
Some people report it to be painful, but you know what? It was kind of all right for me. I don't know why, I don't know. But anyway, I was delivered the news that I had a condition called multiple sclerosis, which was actually quite a shock to me. And at that time, and a lot of it is now as well, but especially at that time, all the messages that you would get about multiple sclerosis, people go on to Google, have a look. It was all negative. Yeah. It was all negative. It was all progressive. It was all, there was no cure. And that you were going to get worse. Which set off, a bit of a sort of an event in my brain, because I started to become quite anxious about it, and I didn't realise that, and then I became depressed.
Yeah.
And my first marriage was in real jeopardy, really. And when we got to 2007, with divorce just around the corner, on one beautiful May morning, it was a beautiful day, I went out and had a serious attempt to take my life.
Gosh.
It was an unsuccessful attempt, but a serious one nevertheless. And many people would say that that's the worst day, probably the worst day in your entire life. And yeah, it was. But also it was one of the best days in my entire life, because I'm not recommending it, of course. I'm not recommending it, but it was that day that I hit rock bottom.
Yes, it's coming to a very low point is what you're making, is what you're saying. Yes.
Yeah. And it sort of also dawned on me that from this position of rock bottom, solid rock, I could build a new life. And from with solid foundations. And although it didn't happen immediately, you know, that's what I set out to do. In 2008, I got the news that I was now secondary progressive multiple sclerosis, because I had several active lesions in my brain. My mobility had got worse. My brain fog and all that, you know, deteriorated quite a lot. And my neurologist said to me that he had absolutely no medication that he could give me for secondary progressive. He would monitor me on a yearly basis. But in his opinion, sort of, you know, it'd be a good idea if you prepare yourself for a wheelchair by 2012, because that's where you'll be, you know. And to tell the truth, that was really right, you know, because he told me that. It had become a self-professing prophecy for me. And that's where I was going, you know, and I was using my wheelchair more and more and more. You know, probably 60% of my time was spent in my chair. A new lady had come into my life in 2010, but do you know what? She was absolutely cool with the fact that I was ill, you know, and that was quite comforting and quite nice for me, you know. And she has played a huge part in, well, she does play a huge part in, she's my wife again, you know, she's my wife. But what happened was one day, and it was I can't remember what year it was well after 2012, and I like a good boy, I was turning up for my neurologist in my wheelchair. And I was going in, you know, to his surgery, and he'd go, "Oh, how are you?" "Oh, yeah, just the same." "Well, there's nothing I can do. Goodbye, see you in a year." Bang, right? Until one year, it was probably about 2015, I think, I really got the bit between my teeth, and I started to really learn about this condition I had. And I took the bull by the horns on this, and I started to exercise. I started to learn about my body, the body. I studied walking, studied exercise, I studied diet, and I changed diet. I exercised, and also I started to learn mindful resilience, if you like,
right.
mindset approaches. Now, the last time I saw my neurologist, I walked into his surgery.
Wow.
And he looked at me with shock, pointed at me, he went, "What drugs have I put you on? What drugs is it?" Right? And I went, "Oh, I'm not on any drugs, am I? Because you said there was nothing that you could do for me and nothing worked." And he looked me up and down and said, "Well, you look like you're getting better. What are you doing?" And I said, "Well, I've changed my diet. I exercise. And I use, you know, meditation and mindfulness to repair my body." He completely dismissed that, and I have never seen him since. Now, for me, a person that's in such a position of power, you would have thought that they should have found out about what I was doing, because surely he could tell other people. I mean, I'm not saying this my approach works for everyone, but it's got to be a better way, isn't it? It's got to be a better way than taking drugs and all the side effects and the repercussions that these drugs, because they're very, very powerful drugs, have on your body, you know? So that's kind of my story, really.
Yeah. Well, I just want to pick up on the thing that you said about your neurologist. And I think that this is like a case in point about this whole discussion, because perhaps in the medical field, they are not open to the notions of different kinds of medicines and practice. And the mindset is completely in one particular direction. And I think there's only a minority of medical professionals that actually sort of maybe want to go on this route, and they see it as a valued, you know, concurrent thing with other medicines or other approaches, and there are some that just completely kind of open their mind to this possibility or this notion, and that is a really, I think, important thing, because I think as human beings we all have to, understand that not everything's going to work for everyone, but being open to the possibility of other avenues and routes is something we should at least be prepared to listen to, whether we believe them or not. But I just wanted to pick up on that point, because I think that's important for everyone to know who watches this later on, that it's not to say that the medical profession don't know what they're doing. They obviously do, but it's to say that there can be different ways to approach medicine, and medicine isn't just sticking a needle in you, giving you medication. It can also be about mental and emotional parts, which actually have is proven to there are actual effects that if you change your mindset and your diet and your exercise, it can have powerful effects on the body. And just because we don't necessarily always have the research or the proof, it doesn't mean it should be discounted, but it just means that we need to ask obviously the patient what have they've done, and get more cases, or even find out if perhaps it's something that we could put money into, or maybe research, or even have trials around to see if there is anything that can be sort of scaled up in this area. Because if we don't actually open the mind to the possibility of these routes, then we are doing disservice to people who are not finding conventional medicines working for them.
Yeah, to follow on from that, I would say, and I would say to anyone that's watching this and your audience and everything like that, I would never, ever, ever suggest that you do not take your health practitioner's advice.
Yes.
Never would I do that. Yeah. But what I am saying is it's not the only way.
Yes.
Do both. Yeah? Because my approach, and the reality is, as human beings, we are only what we consume. Okay? And that's not only through our mouth, it's through our ears, through our eyes, and through our nose. Yeah? We are what we consume. And if we put the best possible food into our stomachs, and we find the best possible information, and we listen to the best possible people about mindset and stuff, you've got a really good chance of changing your life. I at 61 years of age I am now, I am probably healthier now than I definitely was 40.
Yeah.
And I've also learned that I am an opsimath now, because an opsimath, it's a lovely word, isn't it?
What is that? Yes, tell us.
An opsimath is someone who has chosen to continue to learn later in life. Surrounded, you can't see, but I'm surrounded by books, and I'm reading, and God knows researching all the time. And to be honest with you, the more I learn and the more I find out, the more I realise how little I actually know.
We need to continue to feed our minds. That is very true. That is very true. So let's ask you another question, because I'm sure we could be on this topic for this segment anyway for a long time. But what's the mission of your company, Chris? What is the mission of your company?
The mission of my company, okay. So I run a company called Upbeat Life, and it's a community interest company. We provide targeted support, community support to people with physical and learning disabilities. We've also got a employment service where we're getting disabled people back into paid work. And I would say our mission is empowerment for all, really, and integrating everybody. And I'd say, in 2 words, we create solutions. We're creating solutions. Yeah. I also am very keen to network with other organisations, so we can get a bigger impact. We also do coaching. Yeah, I've done particularly. I know you're a coach, and I'm sorry for this, but for me, I'm a therapist, and yeah. I mean, but we also provide that for people who need their mindset adjusted.
Brilliant, brilliant. Right, next question. How have you found that changing your mindset has really like improved your quality of life? We've heard a bit about it just previously, but tell us more.
Okay, well, that's a really interesting question.
Yeah.
Do you know what? That's a really interesting question, and it's one that there's so much I could say.
Yeah.
But I've got to drill it down to something.
Yeah.
And you know what? I think the way I'm going to answer that question for you is that the mindset and getting my thoughts into the right place, if you like, and actually seeing things for actually what they are, right, has changed me in such a great way. And the way I'm going to describe this is that we've all heard about road rage, haven't we?
Yes.
Yeah. And we all see it on the road, and I'm sure there's a few people that are going to watch this that participate
Yes.
in this way as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, prior to me being me as I am, yeah, I was one of them people that, you know, someone cuts you up and it was all the expletives in the world, and it's always someone else's fault.
Yeah.
Always someone else's fault. Yeah. The thing for me now, and the way that my mind has changed so much, is that, do you know what? I'll never, ever, ever get wound up on the road. You know, if someone pulls out, well, okay, it's happened. And I truly know, and I really want people to, you know, if this is one little tiny carry out for people, stress makes you stupid. Okay? Yeah? And it does, doesn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. So I think how it's changed me is that it makes me, it's enabled me to see things as they really are.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. No, that is brilliant. That's brilliant. So that brings us neatly on to the next question, because, you know, if you're able to see things for what they are and also understand your personal triggers, you obviously have like a lot of self-control and mindfulness. So what would be your 3 tips for learning to use your mindset, you know, to change your life?
I think these things are all they'll be different probably for everybody. The things that I recommend, because obviously I work with a lot of people,
Yeah,
is that firstly, I would start your day in a positive way. Yeah, my day always starts with a 10-minute meditation, where, you know, I have a positive. Look, you can't be positive all the time, but I have a affirmation. Yeah, I want to move forward. Yeah. I think it's important for people as well. Tip 2 is to get out into nature and experience it in whatever way you can, and actually look at it and feel it. Yeah, because it's amazing out there, you know, and even if you're in a city or whatever, there's going to be green spaces that you can go to. And the third tip, practice. Just practice.
Yeah.
And that's it really for me on that.
So Chris, that's actually, we talk about the first tip, which was about starting your day in a positive way. How do you think that people can try and do that? Because for some people it's not something they know how to do. They're very sort of like what's the word, process driven, and they're, you know, conscious that they perhaps look at their phone, or they perhaps just on autopilot, you know, think about the things that they have to do, rather than having time or space to think, well, actually, I want to reflect on some great things that might have happened to me yesterday, or I want to just open my mind to the fact that I think that I have an opportunity today to do something a different way.
I think that we can always find time. We can always find time. And, you know, the most important person in your life is you. And, you know, if it means getting up that half hour earlier, just to have some time for you. I think also journalising and diarising, and being quite brutal with your diary entries about actually taking time for yourself is a way to achieve that for people. I know everyone's leading these stressful lives, but I'm going to come back to that little carry out. Stress makes you stupid. You know, is that okay for you?
Yeah. I mean, I guess just to conclude on that point is, you know, how can people sort of stop themselves feeling that it's selfish to take time for themselves when they have so many things and responsibilities?
Yeah, I mean, I hear this a lot from people that I work with, you know, but the reality is, for you to be the best that you can be for the people that you love and the people that are around you and that are in your circle of influence, you've got to look after self. Because if you don't and you break, you ain't going to be able to look after the people that you really want to look after, are you?
No, Chris, that is good. That's a gem. I think I'm going to rewrite this and try and make a clip from that. But it's so true, though.
It's true. It's true. You know, you know, you wouldn't buy a Ferrari and put rubbish petrol, would you? You know, it makes sense to me, looking after yourself. It's not selfish. Not at all.
No, I definitely agree. But it's a common perception that, you know, spending time on oneself is somehow wrong, even though to, as you say, be able to give love, care, you need to be able to function. And if you're not functioning, then you cannot provide that. And it's a very strange, you know, I guess, conflict that we allow to exist. And there are some people who've gone into the camp where they accept that, but people who are just on the edge of that pond are still in that sort of cycle of no, this can't be right. There's people who are already in the camp have got something wrong.
Yeah. No, I get that. But I think it's so important to focus on self. It's not selfish.
No, that is so true. And on that note, do you find any particular tools, videos, or prompts that you think are really helpful for people who want to learn how to focus on themselves?
For me, I mean, I've been doing it for a long time now. I like to do my meditations focusing on the breath. But there is a wealth of videos on YouTube. There's a wealth of books. I think, and I don't know if I'm jumping forward here. I don't know. But one of the things, another carry out for people, okay? I'm sure you've heard of the drama triangle, haven't you?
Oh, no, the drama triangle. Okay.
Have you not?
No.
Oh, okay. So the drama triangle is that you've got victim.
Yep.
You've got rescuer.
Mm-hmm.
And you've got persecutor.
Okay.
And in most situations, you can usually recognise where they are on the triangle, right? And bear in mind, people can flip from position to position at will. Okay, you're not stuck in one place. Victims often go to persecutors. Yeah, and rescuers, and we all know them, don't we? Runs off to, I've got to help Bert, or I've got to help Joe. Got to, yeah. They're only doing that because they don't want to focus on their own issues that they should be dealing with. Right? So no position on the drama triangle is healthy. Okay? And what I would suggest for people is that they get their head around the drama triangle. When you really understand it, it really lightens things up. And then there's a book, and this is a resource that I would really suggest people read. But you've got to understand the drama triangle first, right? But it's called The Power of Ted.
The Power of Ted. Okay, who is that by?
It's by David Emerald.
Okay.
Right, now this book is a very, very easy read, but it's the empowerment. TED stands for the empowerment dynamic.
Oh, okay.
What it does, I mean, if you're a victim, you need to become a creator, and you need to create your way out of the situation that you're in.
Yeah.
If you're a rescuer, rescuers make good coaches, because it's far, far better if you can enlighten that person, that victim, because then you don't have to go back again, do you? It's the old saying, you know, teach a man to fish and he feeds his family for life. You know, fish, he feeds him for a day. Yeah. And persecutors, are actually quite healthy if they become challengers. And instead of shouting and bowling abuse and stuff like that, they come at a situation that in an open and honest way, you know, and you can get far better results if you've got a good challenger in your life, because, you know, have, like, you know, blind spots in our rear view mirror.
Yes.
Yeah, and it's handy if you've got someone else around you. Okay, is that right?
Yeah, ooh, that is also very exciting. That is one that I'm going to look up too, you know. Excellent. All right. So what have we got next? Oh, yes, tell us about someone who inspires you. Who is it? Why?
You know what? I absolutely racked my brain over because there are so many people that inspire me. I mean, a lot of the people that I work with, or my team work with, inspire me every day. I mean, you know, yeah, amazing. But I thought, no, I've got to come up with someone, haven't I?
Well, yeah.
And you know what? Out of all of the people I could think about, Muhammad Ali came to mind.
Oh, okay. Why?
Because he was an extremely great man, right? And he was a very intelligent man. And when you look past all the pomp and ceremony around he's the greatest and like that, that man triumphed over the hugest barriers that any human being could face in life. Okay? And if he can do it, so can you. And I don't mean you, but I mean you.
Yes. Yes.
It's and yeah, I think him. I mean, I like boxing anyway, but yeah, I think. Do you know what? Years ago, I would have probably thought he was a big mouth and flash and God knows what else. But now that I have the skills that I have now, you know, I see, and I do often watch old films of him and see right past right past what he's doing and the man. And so yeah, Muhammad Ali.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, he definitely was a great guy and very inspirational and intelligent and obviously
Very.
a athletic professional. So what more can we say? You know, a lot to learn from him. Now let's talk about resilience. So obviously, as you know, in this time of COVID-19, a lot of people are struggling with their mental health, and, you know, thinking about how they can personally build resilience. You know,
Yeah.
how do you think that people can build their personal resilience, you know, when it's a difficult time?
Right. Okay. Well, I'm going to need to look at my notes because I absolutely love that word. You know, and you know what? I had to look it up in my dictionary. You know, not that I didn't know what it meant, but I wanted to see what it said. You know, and it says and this is definition 2.
Mm-hmm.
My dictionary. It says able to withstand or recover quickly from difficult conditions. Okay. And I think let me just have a look at my notes. Right. So yeah, so I think one of the important things that we need to really understand is that all things pass. You know, that huge thunderstorm with the lightning and the thunder, it passes, as does situations that we believe we can't cope with in our life. It will pass. And know that the more stressed you become around things, the less able you are to actually think about a solution to that problem. So, yeah, I think it's building resilience is actually seeing things for what they really are and know that whatever you're facing, it's likely to pass. Yeah.
Yeah. So let's ask another question about that. So how do we, if you're someone who's struggling with having the hope that something will pass, how do we give ourselves sort of, I guess, reminders or sort of, you know, that ability to really believe that? Yes, build the belief, because some people would say that they know, like, you know, in a logical mind that, you know, the storm does pass, but, you know, when it comes and they're in it, they can't actually see that. So how can they kind of, you know, build their sort of, you know, mindset to help them to be like, well, actually, it really will pass. And even if it's going to be a long time passing, it still will pass.
Yeah. Okay. I'm trying not to plug my industry, if you like, but I think one way of doing that is to actually find an ethical therapist that can help you with your mindset. I mean, I use hypnotherapy, NLP, cognitive behavioral therapy, and mindfulness with the clients that I work with. And I think that if people are in a situation that deep, it would be sensible to seek help. You know, seek some help, because having someone who's ethical, and I do mean that. I mean, there's a lot of people out there on the internet that are life coaching this and empowerment this, and but they're not really qualified to do that. You know, and actually, when you've got someone that is in that position that deeply, the therapist is in a very, very powerful position, because they can do a lot of good or they can do a lot of bad. Yeah. So yeah, I think if you are in that situation, seek help.
No, I agree that, you know, there's at some point you come to recognize this, as much as you can do a lot of self-development on yourself, by yourself, sorry. Sometimes it does come to a point where you might need to seek, you know, professional advice. And that by no means is a failure of yourself. It just means that
No.
Well, but Chris, people think that though. You know, if I can't solve my own problem, clearly there's something wrong.
Do you know what? You know what come into my head there?
What?
So I'm going to use the word coach. Okay, I don't particularly like it to describe me, but I've got to use that word to say what I'm going to say. Right? I'm a coach. Right? I've got diplomas. I've got certificates. I have a coach. And I'm all right, but I still have a coach or a therapist, or
Yeah.
you know, because I can't see my blind spots in the mirror either. You know, all right, I might use them in a different way, but I think it's something that people should consider introducing into their life. It's good. It's good. It's good.
No, I agree. I definitely agree with you, Chris. But I think that a lot of people struggle to get into the space where, one, they want to spend time looking at their own personal issues and really sitting with them and trying to work through them. And two, if they have to spend money on it, they would want to spend money on going on a holiday to what's the word, deflect, rather than actually get to the root.
Yeah.
So it's getting to that place where you, as you said at the beginning, hitting that rock bottom to realize you really want to make that change.
But yes, but the thing is, we're going to come back to the drama triangle again with what you just said there, because like if people would rather invest money into a holiday, you know, I'm not saying that there's anything wrong there.
No.
Invest money into a holiday than invest in themselves. They're on that drama triangle, aren't they? Because they're looking for the holiday to rescue them. But when they come back from the holiday, the situation is still there, isn't it? Yeah. It is not wrong to invest in yourself. And most people shy away from this kind of stuff because they're living in that fear. They're frightened. It's all any whatever emotion they're having, it comes under that label fear. Yeah. And I would say, feel the fear and do it anyway.
Yes, and well, as you've already said that title, I will just plug a book that I really love, which is Susan Jeffers' book, Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway. And I find that a really powerful book in helping you move forward with those issues, and also affirmation statements if that's something that you like to use as a tool. So let's move on to the next question, which is tips on mental health. So can you give us 2 tips on mental health, you know, get in ourselves mentally in order for these tough times? Because I think a lot of us are struggling.
Yeah, and I'm going to come back to nature again. I think we as human beings, we don't get out in nature enough. And I think and I mean, not going out and just walking. I mean, going out and experiencing nature is one of the best things that you can do for your mental health. And I mean, you know, look at that leaf, look at that flower, look at the bark of a tree, and acknowledge how wonderful nature is. So that's one. And two, you know, taking time for yourself and seeing things for how they really are. Okay. I'd like you to imagine, in a way, that I'm holding a picture up now of an Alsatian dog.
Oh, gosh. Yeah.
It's a big dog,
Yeah.
right? And it's got its mouth open and it's panting and it's showing its teeth.
Yeah.
Now, if I showed that picture to several people, and there may well be in the audience, right? Some people will go, "Oh, look at that lovely dog! I'd like to take it over the park and have a run with it," right? Some people will think, "Oh, look at that lovely! It's all fluffy, and I'd like to cuddle it on the settee." But there will be other people that go, "Oh, Christ, look at that dog! That's going to bite me. I'm scared." Yeah. But what am I actually doing? I'm only holding up a picture, aren't I? Yeah. It's our unconscious situations that we've been in the past that influence our decisions today. And what you're seeing is not, well, how you're reacting is not reality, is it? Because all I'm doing is holding up a picture, aren't I? Yeah.
Yes.
Makes sense?
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. Okay, so before we get to the final question, Chris, is there any thing that you're burning to tell everyone on this topic or this area that we've covered in like the last half an hour that you haven't said that you think everyone needs to know?
One of my passions is suicide prevention. Okay, I mean I have had a go at it myself, you know. What I would like to say to everybody, if you're feeling like that, there is help out there. Okay, it's September Suicide Prevention Month. I've been doing I've done quite a few broadcasts on it as well. And you know, there is help. There's help. You know, I'm being very, very careful with the words that I use here. There is help out there, and talk. And one of my real things is men. Right? Men are notorious for not talking, aren't we?
Mm.
You know what? It's not weak. It's not weak to talk about what is, you know, holding you back or causing you pain. It's not weak. So seek help. That's what I would say. Seek help.
Oh, brilliant, Chris. Well, I just want to say, actually, thank you so much for being really open and sharing your really amazing story, because it's very difficult, no doubt, to talk about, you know, attempting to take your own life. And even though you may have passed it, it's still something that, you know, is something that you have to bear. And other people, you know, might be quite shocked that, you know, you seem so happy and lively. And we've heard how you've transformed your your life, and you know, not everyone at this moment in time is feeling as joyful as we both are. And I think it's really super that you have been able to share the highs and lows of, you know, your story, but also to give this really powerful message about suicide prevention, which I totally agree is one that needs to be shared widely.
Yes, I do, and yeah, I mean, it's an important message. It really is important.
Yeah.
There's nothing. Yeah. Do you know? I tell you, I just want to share this, right?
Go ahead. Yeah.
This didn't happen immediately, but it did happen within a few hours. I had this huge wave of guilt come over me, because I suddenly realised I've got 4 amazing children in my life. Yeah. And how would what I attempted to do have affected them and people that know me? You know, what effect would that have had on them? You know, and that's why I say to people, please get help.
Absolutely. 100%. Yes. So just finally, to wrap things up, Chris, we want to know about what's coming up for you and how people can get in touch.
Okay, well, what's coming up for us is I am busy working on creating a community wellbeing hub.
Oh, fantastic.
Which, you know, it's a big project, but I'm sure that I will achieve that. I'm looking to get some big corporations perhaps involved, and maybe they want to, you know, I'll go and do some work for them and they can pop some funds my way.
Brilliant.
If anyone wants to get in touch with me, they can do that via the website, which is www.upbeatlife.co.uk. You will find my contact details on there, email and telephone number. Please feel free to contact me. I'd be honoured to hear from you. Okay, people could actually like our Facebook page, which is Upbeat Life. I do a live every Wednesday at 7 p.m. So after this, I'm jumping onto that. So they will see my smiley face again. Or you could seek me out. My name's Chris Freer. I've got a Facebook page as well. But yeah, www.upbeatlife.co.uk.
Oh, well, brilliant. I just want to say thank you so much, Chris, for your time and your inspiration and all the really great things that you've shared with us. I think that everyone who watches this on the replay is going to learn lots. And yes, I have learned lots too, and I'm going to replay so I can remember the name of that book so I can find it and read it myself.
It's a great book. It's an easy read, but it's a great book, believe me.
Oh, brilliant. Well, thank you so much. And we'll be in touch. Take care, Chris.
Thank you so much for this.
Take care. Oh, no worries. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.